Hello everybody and welcome to today's video, and today I have Luna and I are testing a new and different type of bitless bridle. So this particular type of bitless bridle is based kind of on the what we'll call like the little S bridle, and it has a very thin little piece right here. It's pretty soft, but it's thin. Remember that the amount of pressure on a nose piece is based on how wide it is and how much it distributes pressure. With something like this, it's a very, very narrow bit of pressure. So it's a little bit thin for my take. And plus, when you add over here, you also have some shank action. Now, normally it's about 5 pounds per inch, but with this particular design, it kind of goes up and underneath the chin. All right, the second thing is it's a nylon bridle, and I am not a huge fan of nylon bridles anyway, just because they're just not that great. They don't breathe very well, and you know, they get hard very easily. But that being said, this is the particular bridle that we're testing. It's really, really very thin. This is what we would call a very severe bit. I also don't like the fact that it has a little kind of a nose action right here where there could be a little pinching involved. Anytime you can get your hand in there and do anything like that, you could get some type of pinching. So not a huge fan of that anyway, but we're gonna ride around anyway, and I'm gonna test it all out so you can see it. If you haven't subscribed, remember to please subscribe and hit that notification button. New content every week. Okay everybody, we are testing out a bitless bridle today. As you can see, it's kind of a modified little S bridle, and it has just a regular rope nose piece, but the rope nose piece is very thin, so it has one of the higher pressures that I've seen in bitless. It also has a shank that has a throat latch underneath it that also adds to the amount of pressure. So people are looking for like a barrel horse bit or a bitless bridle that would work on more of a, would you say, a hot-tempered horse. This might be something that you would look at. I, however, think it's just a little bit too much, but we're going to kind of go from there. The first thing that we want to do whenever we're testing any kind of a bitless bridle is we want to be able to flex both vertically and laterally. So we're going to reach up and we're going to ask for her to give her head laterally just a little bit until we get a nice little give, and you can bump, bump, bump until they actually give you a bump back, like just like that, and release. And make sure you do that on either side. So what we do on one side, we definitely do on the other. And we're going to go ahead and bump, bump, bump until she kind of gets the idea. When you're using any kind of a bitless bridle with new pressure points, you're going to have to see how the horse is. So we kind of go out first to kind of get her head going in the right direction, and then we put our hand back to where it should be, right in here, until we get a nice little give, and kind of bump it around until she gives. There we go. And as soon as we get the give, we relieve pressure. So that's the first thing, is letting the horse give laterally. Now we want the horse to actually give vertically, and that is going to be with our backup. So we're going to ask the horse to back off our seat. So we're going to squeeze and release. We're going to have a little bit of a flutter with our lower legs, but mainly we're going to ask the horse to give their head back, and she's going, there we go, and back. So she kind of fought it a little bit. That's probably because it's really high pressure. So let me go a little bit lighter, and back, and she gives, but she didn't give me the step. There we go, back. So just a really light bit of pressure, and she's going to give to that. It doesn't take a whole lot. This is a very one of the harsher bitless bridles. Okay, so now that we've got our horse to kind of walk around on it, we're going to see how good it is as far as turning radius and, you know, how well it turns. So a pretty simple exercise for this is going to be keeping our hands right down in front of the pommel of our saddle, kind of low as possible. We're going to keep our reins slightly loose, make a little arc with the top, We're going to use button number 1 in front of the girth, button number 2 is at the girth, and button number 3 is behind the girth. And we're going to ask for a turn, not only with our hands, we're going to use some direct reining. So I'm going to kind of squeeze and release with the inside rein at button number 2 until we start to get a nice little turn. Walk straight at button number 2 on the opposite side, squeeze and release. And I'm going to kind of lay that rein across on the opposite side. So lay the rein across so you get more neck reining and you do actual direct reining. So when I'm pulling the horse towards me, that's direct reining. And I can see she's giving through, but she's also giving to the neck rein, which is an indirect rein. But I'm also squeezing and releasing with that button number 2 to make her go to the side. So I want to make sure I get a nice circle. So what we do on one side, we do on the other. We're just going to pull, and I'm going to give a little bit of direct rein, and I'm going to, with my outside hand, I'm going to just kind of knock it on her neck a little bit, and squeeze with my outside leg, button number 2, until I get a good bit. Okay, so she's turning pretty well. Now we want to go for a, see how well she goes up to a trot? So we're just going to get her to go for a little trot with this. Really nice and easy. And to test our theory of how well she's going to give to us, we spiral down to a 1 rein stop. So we go whoa and spiral down until she stops and gives. There we go. Once our head has dropped and she's given her head, then you release the rein pressure. So, and that wasn't as good as I probably would have liked. So you're going to go for a basic, just a little trot. She's not real incredibly happy right now, but we're just going to give her a nice trot. Sit up straight. As I come around, I'm going to come up here to the camera so you can see, and ask for the 1 rein stop, and woo. Ask her to give, give, give. There we go, nice and soft. So that's kind of the basics of testing this particular bridle. I can tell that you really don't have to pull on it very hard to get a lot of pressure, and if you didn't sit it in the right place and it actually got too low on the horse, it could probably cause some damage. But overall, I would go with a much wider noseband and maybe go with a different type of noseband. But there you go. That is our bitless bridle of the day. So thank you so much for joining me in today's video. And if you enjoyed today's video, give us a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And remember, check out our playlists under types of bitless to see other bitless options.